Hello everyone, welcome back to Full Spectrum Survival. Last week we released the short film Surviving the Collapse, in which we discussed a fictional setting in a grid down scenario, sort of walked through some of the steps. We had a lot of great questions. It really got a lot of people thinking, which was exactly what we were looking for, and today I want to answer some of those questions and tell you why we did some of the things that we did in that film. The first question, of course, was why wasn't I more gunned up? Why didn't I have an AR-15, an AK-47, a battle vest? Why didn't I have everything? You're going to find that as we continue the short film series, we're not always going to portray the best thing to do, or we're not always going to portray the most prepared individual, because the film isn't how I would do things, it's more how a fictional character would do things in this type of setting. And not everyone is going to have an assault rifle. Not everyone is going to have, you know, a full battle vest or personal protection gear, things like that. So through this series, we're going to walk through how anyone, given the supplies that they're able to get their hands on, could survive a collapse. The next thing was, why was I searching that fire site? Why was I messing with the charcoal? Anytime that you're out looking or tracking an individual, looking for a location, anytime you're looking for a group, you're going to want to follow an area. You're going to want to follow a grid, follow a pattern, and look for signs of activity. One of those signs that you'll want to look for is recent fires. You're going to find recent fires by charred wood on the ground, fire lays, attempts to camouflage an old fire site by putting brush over top of it. Look for these types of things, and by the freshness of the charcoal, heat on the ground, or any of the other variables, you're going to be able to get a pretty good determination of how recently an individual or a group of individuals passed through there. A great question is, why didn't I cook the oats that I poured into my cup? Before the 1900s, and probably even before that, oats and an oat drink was one of the first energy drinks that anyone ever knew, because oats are high in carbohydrates, they're lightweight, easy to store, easy to carry. You can put them right into water, let the water rehydrate them. It gets a little bit thick the longer you leave it into it. If you apply any heat to it, it thickens it up even more, and then you just drink that straight. And it's going to provide you on the run with a great natural energy drink that you don't have the highs and the lows from caffeine and sugar and things like that. Oats is a primary staple in my survival pack, in my camping pack, in my day bag, because it's versatile. I'll use oats to make oatmeal, porridge, pottage. I'll eat them, you know, I'll eat it with salty things, I'll eat it with sweet things, and it really allows me to have something that's lightweight. I can carry a ton of oats all day long, and I can use it in a number of different meals while in the field. Anytime you're in a disaster, anytime you're in a location that you're not familiar with, you're going to want to review and scout out a group, scout out an individual before you make contact with them. Especially during a survival situation where you don't know the intentions of that group. You're going to want to review their intentions, set some triggers in your mind, set some hard triggers that you say, if it looks like this, I'm either going to contact them or not going to contact them. This is going to provide you with a stable platform that when you view someone or a group of people, you can make a good decision beforehand on whether you'll engage with contact. Daniel had a great point when we were walking through the storyline of the video, and when I hailed out to him, he said, well, why would I answer you? And I said, you know, if my character meant to do him harm, just like if any stranger meant to do harm to an individual, they would do harm without alerting the other person that they were there. They would snipe them from a position. They would wait until they went to sleep. You know, there are a number of other actions that they would take rather than trying to open a line of discussion. So during a disaster where you have a need for trade, you have a need for you know, information and communication, reaching out to someone from a distance is the smartest thing to do, because then, should they be hostile, you still have distance between you and that person. You definitely don't want to sneak up on anyone. You don't know if they might have group members watching, and those group members would fire first and ask questions later. You don't know these types of things. So review, make a decision, and if you're going to engage, make contact from a distance. As you saw in the video, the smoke signature at Daniel's site gave him away in this setting. Smoke is something that we as humans are hardwired to interpret. We look for it, we smell it, we can taste it, and we can sense it from a far distance away. Smoke is an enemy during a disaster. It's an enemy during a crisis. The Viet Cong used to make charcoal wood. They would char their wood so that they would not give away their smoke signature, and they could still purify their water. They could still cook their food. They could still keep warm, while their enemy, the Western military, had a very hard time finding them because of this. If you're in a disaster, first, have a 5-gallon bucket of charcoal briquettes that you buy from the store, ready and waiting for you. I take them with me on every camping trip because they're easy. They don't give away smoke. They stay lit for a long time. I can carry fire from one position to another. You can really do a lot of things with them. But once you run out of those briquettes, or if you're on the run, make sure that you make the creation of charred cloth and charred wood #1 on your priority, or at least up there on your priority list of things to do as you move from one location to another. Going back to me opening dialogue and opening communication with Daniel, decide how you and your group are going to react to contact now before it happens. Make that a part of your standard operating procedure, that if someone opens communication, whether it's on a radio, hailing you, leaving a message, how are you going to react to that contact? How are you going to either become on the offensive, the defensive? What are you going to do? Are you just going to open fire right away? Is someone from a scout and sniper position just going to open fire? What's going to happen, and what's the best thing to do for you and your group for the longevity and the survival of you and your group during a disaster? You saw when I walked up to Daniel that I asked him a leading question, something that I already knew the answer to. I knew that he had a woman here. I knew that there was someone else here at the location with them. You're going to want to do that anytime you make contact with an individual. You're going to want to find an answer to something and then ask them and see if they give you false information. Of course, during a disaster, Daniel in his position would want to hide the fact that his wife was here, or that women and children were here. You would want to hide that information. But someone who comes to you and knows that information as false is going to be able to call you out on it. And how you react to that allegation is going to play a difference in the different actions that can take place after that. Of course, my character understood that Daniel was trying to protect his wife, so it was no problem. But asking those leading questions, the things that you already have an answer to, will allow you to gauge the individual or gauge the group and see how honest they are with you. You might ask things like, do you have weapons? Do you have food? Is everyone healthy and eating okay? Well, if you see people are coughing, if you see people are looking malnourished, if you see them eating and they say, no, we don't have food, weapons, but everyone's healthy, you know that there's some false information going on, and you can make a better decision on how to proceed with that communication. A great question we had was, what was in the cup that I shared with Daniel? We had dried cranberries, dried raisins, and some sugar. Dried cranberries are high in antioxidants. They are high in fiber, raisins as well. They have a lot of beneficial properties to them that will, one, change the taste of the water, because as you're boiling your water every single day, in all likelihood, water from a well or a pool or a pond or a lake, river, stream, really anywhere you're getting it from, it's going to have a taste that is not conducive to what we usually taste in water today. It's going to have an off taste, and anyone who's spent a lot of time camping, spent a lot of time in the wood, knows that you'll get to a creek and sometimes you get some really nasty water. So anything that you can do to flavor it is a benefit right off the start. Also, you're going to want to provide something that gives you an extra boost, gives your immune system a boost, gives your lower digestive tract a boost. You're going to want to keep in line all of these different things, because there's problems during a crisis. You have constipation, illness, fatigue. You have all these different things that just maintaining a healthy diet, maintaining a normal intake of good warm food, good warm drink will help keep at bay. Jarhead6 made some excellent points in the video. Food and water, of course, is a top priority, but security ranks high on the rule of threes. You only have 3 seconds to react in the event of escalating violence. #1 on the rule of threes. The first thing you have to do is to be able to react if you're put in a position where your security is compromised, or the safety of you and your family. If you don't have a weapon or the weapons to handle that security, you're going to run into a bigger problem than not having the water and not having the food on hand or medicine. So what do you do about it? Well, in North America, especially in the United States, almost anyone can go and purchase a firearm. Of course, if their past changes that, or if you're in another country, there are alternative methods. I was speaking with someone who's an avid trapper, and I asked them, can you actively trap a man just like you trap an animal? They said without a doubt they could adjust their trapping mechanisms and lethally trap an individual that shouldn't be there or wishes to do them harm, or just trap them to question at a later time and incapacitate them in a form. So there are other options in comparison to firearms, but firearms are really number one because it allows you to reach out and touch someone that's trying to do your harm. So if you can, and if you haven't taken that chance yet and you haven't gotten a weapon, please get one. Jarhead made some great suggestions. Of course, my three weapons are a revolver, a shotgun, a long-range rifle. You can do almost anything with those three. Everyone has their own weapons of choice, of course, but you know, for me, I choose a revolver as my number one, as my pistol. One, because I train with it heavily and I can reload it just as quickly as someone with a higher capacity magazine, or very near as quick. And two, it is almost foolproof. Anybody in my family, anybody in my group can pick up that weapon and has been taught to use it properly. And you just, if your life is in danger, you just keep pulling that trigger. The only mechanism that is likely to go wrong is your bullet. And you just keep pulling that trigger until it functions. And so it's a little bit more foolproof. It's a little bit easier. You don't have to worry about jams as much. You don't have to worry about inner workings and mechanisms as much. So for me, that's definitely a top choice. A shotgun allows you to put a lot of lead down range. The same with a high capacity assault rifle or something that's going to give you some distance. So think about those things. Think about how you're going to prepare now to better, retain the life of your family, to better keep you and your family or your group safe in the event of a disaster. One of the biggest questions we got was, will you be making more of these? Yes, we will be making more of these short films. We won't always take on the persona of the prepared individual. We won't always give the fictional character that knows what to do, because I don't think that that's conducive to the teaching mechanism that I want to give through these. I want to provoke thought, and I want you to say, why'd you do that? And why would you do that? Why in the world would you do that? Why I would have done it like this? And start to think through those things, because I think that these short films, while they can be entertaining, are great tools that can allow all of us as a group to make better decisions for our preparedness and for our family. And I would love it if even on videos to come you say, I would do like this, because I might pick up something from you, or my family might pick up something from you, something that we hadn't thought of. So it's a great way for us all to share, a great way for us all to talk about different things, and to, at the end, be better prepared for a crisis, for an event that comes that we would have otherwise been unprepared for. Special shout out to our Patreon members. Without your support, these videos would not be possible. As always, please comment, like, and subscribe. Share this video on social media if you found something informational in it, if you found something educational in it. From Kelly and I to you and yours, stay safe and keep watch.